Just when you think you have heard all compressor plugins, a new one comes around which blows you away. This is happening for me with the Audioscape AS-MK609. This plugin is an emulation of the hardware Audioscape MK609, which is based on the Neve 33609 compressor and developed by Neve. This plugin is a digital emulation of a clone of the original hardware. This compressor combines a limiting circuit with a compression circuit, and if you look it up, people seem to love it most on drums and the mix bus, which I can confirm it performs excellent there. But don't let this limit you and try other sources. I will do a vocal test as well later in this video. If you want a compressor that is extremely coloring, this one isn't for you. The plugin at default is as flat as the Dutch tulip fields. You will use the AS-MK609 for its compression and saturation behavior. Quick note, for most of this video I will use the linked input and output level settings to give you a good idea what this plugin does without much level change. At default, when you turn down the input without any compression happening, the plugin actually increases the attack a bit and it has somewhat of a very slow release. That sounds like this. With this low input, the limiter and compressor barely can do anything since the input level is way below the threshold for both. Now, when I turn up the input, the attack actually gets reduced until you hit distortion, and then things get evened out. Keep an eye on the release changes as well. And that sounds like this. This is not all. Check what happens with the cymbals of these next drums when I drive the input a lot. With an extreme saturation boost, the cymbals get a bit coarser, but also it sounds like there's an envelope shaper happening where the sustain get a bit reduced. The cymbals get a bit more percussive, they bark more. I think this is quite interesting. You can undo this easily by dialing in the limiter and compression. Now, before we continue, please make sure to subscribe if you haven't already and hit that little like button. This video is sponsored by DistroKid, the best way to get your music into popular streaming platforms like Spotify and Apple Music. You keep 100% of the royalties you earn from your streams with unlimited uploads and many handy tools to promote your music. Use the link in the description of this video to get 7% off of your first year on DistroKid and find out why so many artists are using DistroKid to distribute their music. The first thing you will notice with this plugin is when you insert it, the overall level drops. It needs about 3.5 decibel of output gain to get the same volume as the input. The AS-MK609 adds a bit of depth and space when you use it. On this next piece you can hear the guitars sound slightly wider and you get a bit more separation between the mid and sides. Note I'm using normal stereo mode here. It's not purely level based, the center stays the same. Now let's use the Audioscape MK609 on a vocal and let me show you how I would dial that in. First, set the input level to just not hit saturation.
Just keep on moving, I've never been so wide awake. Is it too much to make you stay? Just keep on moving, I've never...
Next up is a limiting and let it catch those peaks.
Is it too much to make you stay? Just keep on moving, I've never been so wide awake. Is it too much to make you stay? Just keep on moving, I've never been so wide awake. Is it too much to make you stay? Just keep on moving, I've never been so wide awake. Is it too much to make you stay?
The compression is used for overall leveling.
Just keep on moving, I've never been so wide awake. Is it too much to make you stay? Just keep on moving, I've never been so wide awake. Is it too much to make you stay? Just keep on moving, I've never been so wide awake. Is it too much to make you stay? Just keep on moving, I've never been so wide awake. Is it too much to make you stay?
You can get a really transparent compression like this. The dynamics have been reduced while the sound stays intact and relaxed. The resulting sound makes sense because you are using two dynamic processors in series, which means that each of those two need to work less to get a better result, just as what you would do with two compressor plugins after each other. When you use these limited compression settings and play with the input saturation, you can hear really well how the 609 reacts on different input levels. Sort of when you simultaneously change the threshold for both compression and limiting. When you use a 609 on the bass, I find it works best when you mix into it. With these drums, the 609 takes down the snare too much. Let me increase it. The low end is now a bit too boomy on the snare. Let's fix it. The result is that these drums now sound very meaty, smooth and thick. Speaking of mixing into this compressor, the AS-MK609 sounds like it takes away a bit of the high end, which is not uncommon with compressors. Therefore, I suggest you use an EQ plugin before the AS609 and EQ into this compressor to get the high end you want, with the bonus of it sounding more controlled. Yeah, Audioscape and Neve have knocked it out of the park with this one. Go check it out to find out if it fits in your audio toolshed.